Every cave rescue starts the same way, and I mean that literally. There is a form, time of call, name of the missing party, last known location, number in the group, equipment carried, medical. It is a piece of paper with boxes on it, and you fill the boxes in, and the reason it is a piece of paper with boxes on it is that the boxes stop you thinking about the person. I have been on a rescue team for 11 years. I am not a caver, exactly. I mean, I cave, but I do not do it for fun anymore. And there are about 40 of us in the region, and we are all volunteers, and we all have jobs, and we all get in a vehicle at 2 in the morning when the phone goes. This one came in on a Tuesday in March. Overdue caver, solo, in a system I will call the Ridge because the actual name is on maps, and there are people still living who would rather I did not. Solo is bad. Solo is the thing every one of us has argued about with somebody we love. But it was not, on the face of it, a frightening call, because the Ridge is a small, well-known, thoroughly surveyed system, 3.2 kilometers of passage. Mapped in the 60s, resurveyed in 94, resurveyed again in 2011 with laser instruments by people who are very serious about that sort of thing. There is nothing in the Ridge that is not on the map. That sentence is going to do a lot of work later, so I would like you to have it now. We went in as 3 pairs. I was with a man called Dove, who has been doing this longer than I have, and who talks constantly underground, which sounds annoying and is actually the single most reassuring thing in the world. We found the gear at the first junction, about 400 meters in. Staged, that is the word we used in the report, and it is the right one. Not dropped, not scattered, not the mess you get when somebody falls. His pack was set against the wall, upright. His spare light was on top of it. His helmet was beside it with the lamp switched off, and his gloves were inside the helmet, which is what you do at the end of a trip, not the middle. And his boots were there, set together side by side. That is the point at which the call stopped being routine, because a man does not walk barefoot into a limestone system. The floor in there will take the skin off you. We searched the mapped passage, all of it, 6 people, 3.2 kilometers, twice, calling and listening, and I have to tell you that listening in a cave is a strange thing, because the sound of water moving through rock is very close to the sound of a voice a long way off, and every single one of us stopped at least once for something that turned out to be a drip. Nothing, no caver. And then on the second sweep, Dove found the tape. Reflective survey tape, the orange stuff, in a passage that runs off the eastern chamber. He put his light on it, and it flashed back at him the way it is designed to. And he called me over, and I looked at it, and my stomach did something I have not been able to describe properly to anyone. 2 things were wrong with that tape. The first is that the passage it was in does not exist. I do not mean it was unmapped. I mean I had walked that eastern chamber twice that night, and there is a wall there. There has always been a wall there. There is a wall there on a survey drawing from 1964, and there is a wall there on a laser scan from 2011. The second thing is that it was our tape, our team's. The orange reflective with the black stripe, which is not what the clubs use, it is what we use. Because it is expensive, and because when you are hauling a stretcher you want to see the route from 30 meters away with a light on your head. Dove and I stood there for a long moment. And then he said in a completely normal voice, "Well, somebody's been busy, and I have loved him for that ever since, because it made it possible to keep going." We followed it. The passage went down. Not steeply, but consistently, and it was the wrong kind of passage for that system. The Ridge is an old phreatic system, rounded, the shapes water makes when it fills a space slowly. This was cut, sharp-edged. It looked like a joint that had been opened, and it went down, and every 20 meters or so there was another piece of that tape, tied off properly, tied off the way we are trained to tie it, which is a specific knot that I have taught to about 60 people myself. We went down for, I would guess, 40 minutes. Dove was counting his paces out loud because that is what he does. And then the passage opened into a chamber, and our lights found the missing man, and he was sitting on the floor with his back to a boulder. And he was alive. He was completely calm. That is the thing I need you to understand before anything else. He was not distressed, he was not hypothermic, he was not confused in the way people get. He looked up when our lights hit him, and he raised a hand and he said, "Oh, thank God, I have been going in circles." He had no light. His hands were fine, his feet were bare, and they were not cut. We got a blanket on him, and Dove started the medical, and I asked him the standard questions, and he answered them all clearly. Name correct, where he was, roughly correct. And then I asked him how long he thought he had been down there. He said, couple of hours, maybe 3. He had been missing for 9 days. I did not tell him that. You do not. Not down there? I told him we would talk about it up top, and I asked him about the tape, and he said the thing that I have not repeated to anybody outside the team. He said he had been following it too. He said he came into the eastern chamber, and there was a passage with tape in it, and he assumed a survey party had been through. And he followed it because he thought it would loop back to the entrance, and he had been following it ever since, and this is the part. He said he had nearly caught up with them twice. He said he could hear the reel. If you have never used one, a survey reel makes a particular sound, a sort of ticking as it pays out, and it carries a very long way in a passage. He said he had been hearing it ahead of him for 2 hours, and every time he got close it got further away, and he had sat down here because he thought if he stopped moving, they would notice he had gone quiet and come back for him. We got him out. It took 9 hours, and it was the least dramatic extraction I have ever been part of, because he walked most of it himself. Now here is the rest, and I am going to keep it short because it is mostly things that are not explanations. We went back in 4 days later with the surveyors. The eastern chamber has a wall in it. There is no passage. There is no joint, no rubble, no sign of collapse, nothing that suggests there was ever an opening. And a collapse is not a subtle thing. You cannot hide one from a person who does this for a living. The tape was gone. Our stores had a full inventory that week, which we do quarterly. Nothing was signed out, nothing was missing, and his helmet, which was staged at that first junction with his gloves inside it, had a camera on it. That is normal, half of them do now. The camera was off when we found it, but it had recorded 19 minutes of it, and I have watched it, and I am one of 4 people who has. And the team leader made a decision about it that I agreed with then and still agree with now. It is him walking down a passage. The light is his headlamp, so you are seeing what he saw. There is orange tape on the left-hand wall at intervals, and the passage is sharp-edged and going down, exactly the way we found it. And ahead of him, always at the very edge of where the light reaches, there is somebody walking. You cannot see anything about them. It is a shape of the light beyond it, and the light is pointed away. And, at the very end of the recording, the shape stops walking. It does not turn around. It waits until he is nearly at it. And then the recording ends, and the reason the recording ends is that the camera was switched off. Not damaged, not out of battery. It ran for another 6 hours on that battery when we tested it. Somebody reached up and switched it off. He has no memory of any of that. He is fine, genuinely fine. He has a family and a job, and he went back to caving within the year, which I think about a lot. I did not go back to caving. I am still on the team because if the phone goes at 2 in the morning, somebody has to get in the vehicle, and I would rather it was me because I know something the other volunteers do not. I know that when you are down there calling out for a person who is lost, you should be very careful about how long you stand still and listen, because listening works both ways, and there is at least one thing in that hill that is extremely good at it. They sealed the number 4 in the autumn of 1979, and I am the last man living who was down it, and I have had 46 years to think about what I ought to have written on that survey and did not. I was a mine surveyor. Started at 17 as a chainman, which meant I carried things and got shouted at, and I finished as the man who signed the drawings. And in between, I spent the better part of my life underground with a compass and a clinometer and a notebook with a waxed cover, so it would not turn to porridge in the wet. Now, a closure survey is a particular job, and I should explain it, or the rest will not land. When a working is finished with, you do not simply brick it up. You go through it. You measure every roadway, you check the roof supports, you note where the water is, and you produce a drawing that says, here is what is down there, and here is what state it is in. And that drawing goes to the authority, and it lives forever. Because in 50 years, somebody will want to build houses on top of it, and they will need to know what is underneath. So it matters. That is the point. A closure survey is one of the few things a man does that is meant to outlast him. The number 4 was old. Parts of it went back to the 1850s, hand-worked, and then it had been extended by machine in the 20s and again after the war, so you had this sandwich: modern roadways, square cut, running into old workings that were narrow and low and shaped like something a person had gnawed out. I was down there for 11 days with a lad called Frankie, and I'm going to tell you the 4 things that happened, in order, the way I have told them perhaps twice in my life. The first was the compass. In a mine, you survey by traverse. You set up, you take a bearing, you measure the distance, you move along and do it again, and at the end you should come back around to where you started. And the amount you are out by is your error of closure. And if it is small, you have done well, and if it is large, you have made a mistake somewhere, and you find it and you do it again. In the West District, my closures were terrible. Not wildly, not the kind of number that says you have written down a 5 as a 3. Consistently a little out, always in the same direction, always in the same 300 yards of roadway. Now there is a perfectly good explanation for that, and it is iron. Or pipework, old rail, anything ferrous will pull a compass, and a surveyor learns to distrust his needle around metal. So I looked for the metal. There is no metal in that section, never was. It is a stone drift, driven through barren rock to reach a seam, and there is nothing in it and never has been. I resurveyed it 4 times. Same result every time. Something in that rock was pulling my needle, and it was pulling it toward the old workings. The second thing was the measure. We were tying in an old roadway, one of the hand-worked ones, and I taped it going in, and I made it 182 feet from the junction to the face. Frankie taped it coming out and made it 161. Now that is not possible. A steel tape does not stretch 20 feet, and 2 men do not misread the tape by that much, and I told him so in language I would not use now. So we did it again together, both of us on the tape, in and then out. In 182, out 161. Let me be plain, I have no explanation, and I am not offering one. I wrote the shorter figure on the drawing, because a survey that says a roadway has 2 links is not a survey, it is a confession. The third thing was the water. The number 4 was dry in the old districts. Bone dry, dusty, the sort of dry where your throat goes and stays gone. That is why they could leave the timber standing for a century, no water, no rot. And every day in that same west section, I could hear water. Running water, a good volume of it, the sound you get from a flooded roadway a level below you. There is no level below. Number 4 is the bottom. There is nothing under it but the rock the world is made of. Frankie could hear it too, and Frankie was a lad who did not care for that section and stopped pretending otherwise around day 6. And I made him keep coming because I was 34 years old, and I thought that was the sort of thing a man in charge does. I regret that more than the rest of it put together. The 4th thing is the one that finished it. On the 9th day, we were pushing the far end of the oldest district, right up against the boundary of what the drawing showed, and the roadway ended in a face. A worked face, meaning rock that had been taken out by a person. And it was hand-worked. You can tell instantly, and anybody who has been down will back me on this. A hand-worked face has the marks of a pick in it, little curved bites in rows. At the height, a man swings. Machine-cut rock does not look remotely like that. It is flat, and it is scored, and it is wrong in a different way. So, a hand-worked face at the end of a roadway that the drawing said was the boundary. That in itself is not impossible. Old records are wrong, men worked places they did not report. That happens. Here is what was impossible. The marks were fresh. I have looked at a great deal of worked rock. Old pick marks weather, even underground, even dry. They dull, they take dust into them, they go the color of the rest of the face. These were bright. The stone in those bites was a different shade to the stone an inch away, the way a broken flint is brighter than its own outside, and there was spoil at the foot of it. Loose rock, in a heap, the way it falls when it comes off the face. Nobody had been in that district since before the First War. It was not connected to any working part of the mine. The only way in was the way we had come, and we had come through 11 days of undisturbed dust with our own boot prints, the only marks in it. Frankie did not say anything. He put his light on the heap, and then he put it on me, and he waited, because I was the surveyor, and it was my job to decide what that was. I decided it was nothing. Let me be exact about what I did, because it is the reason I am telling you this at all. I did not investigate. I did not photograph it, and we had a camera. I did not measure it. I turned around and I walked us out, and I wrote in the notebook with the wax cover at the end of the West District entry the words, "No further workings." 4 words. And on the strength of those 4 words, the authority approved the closure, and in November they filled the shaft and capped it, and the number 4 has been sealed for 46 years. Frankie left the industry that winter. He went into haulage. We did not stay in touch, which I think was a decision we both made without ever saying it, and he died in 2009, and I did not go to the funeral, and I am not proud of that either. So that is what happened, and here is what I have left. I do not know whether that face was being worked from our side or from the other side. That is the thing. That is the whole thing, and I have turned it over for 46 years, and I get no further. If it was being worked from our side, then something was down there with us for 11 days, and we never saw it, and it never came for us, and it went on quietly taking rock out of a wall in the dark. And if it was being worked from the other side, then I stood 4 feet away from whatever was doing it with only a face of stone between us, and it heard me, and it stopped, and it waited for me to go, and then I sealed the door. I have never been able to decide which of those I would prefer, and I am 82, and I do not expect I shall get it settled now. I was 40 feet under a supermarket car park with one hand on a ladder rung when the water started going the wrong way. That is not a figure of speech. Stormwater goes downhill. That is the entire principle. The whole system is a set of pipes arranged so that gravity does the work. And if you have ever wondered why civil engineering is a respected profession, it is because for about 200 years it has been reliably beating gravity at a game gravity cannot lose. The water at my boots was running uphill into the pipe I had come out of. Right, backwards a bit. I do drainage, have done for 19 years. Municipal contracts mostly. Inspection, jetting, CCTV surveys, the occasional bit of relining. It is not a glamorous trade, and I am not going to pretend it is, but it is a good one. It pays. And there is a particular satisfaction in being one of about 6 people in a city who actually knows what is under it. Most people picture sewers. It is not sewers, or not usually. Storm drains are separate. They take surface water, road runoff, roof water, and they discharge to a river or a culvert, and they are big, and they are dry most of the year. And they are cleaner than you would think. This job was a survey ahead of a development. Somebody wanted to build on the car park, and the drainage had to be signed off. And the plans the council had were, and I am quoting my own report here, incomplete. That word is doing a lot of work. What it means is, the concrete stuff from 1974 is on the plans, and everything the 1974 lot connected into is not. Because in 1974, nobody was going to pay a man to survey a brick culvert that had been working fine since Victoria was on the throne. So I go down at 6:30 on a Thursday morning, which is the correct time to go into a drain, because the forecast was clear for 3 days, and there is nothing in this world that will kill you faster underground than optimism about weather. Standard kit: gas monitor, harness, 2 lights, radio, and a lad called Marlin at the top of the shaft who is a very good top man and whose entire job is to stand in a car park doing nothing for 4 hours and be there if I need him. The concrete section was fine. 800 millimeter, clean, a bit of silt. I did my measurements, took my photographs, and at about 90 meters in the concrete stopped and the brick started. And it was beautiful. I am aware how that sounds. But an old brick culvert built by people who expected it to last is genuinely lovely. An egg-shaped section, so the flow keeps its own invert scoured. Blue engineering brick laid in courses that have not moved in 150 years. You do not see craft like that anymore because we do not build things for 150 years anymore. It was also not on any plan I had. That is not alarming in itself. That is Thursday. I noted it, I got the tape on it, and I carried on, because the brief was to find out what was down there, and I had found something that was down there. Now the smell. Drains smell. Everybody knows that, and everybody is wrong about which smell. A storm drain smells of wet mineral and cold, like a quarry, like the inside of a cave. It is not unpleasant. What it is not is organic. About 30 meters into the brick, the smell changed and it went sweetish. Not sewage. I know sewage, and it announces itself. This was closer to the smell of a florist's bin, old flower water, that green, sweet, rotten smell. And my gas monitor said everything was fine. I need to explain why that is worse rather than better. If the monitor had alarmed, I would have gone up the ladder, and that would have been the end of my involvement, and I would not be telling you anything. A monitor alarming is a solved problem. A monitor sitting there telling me the atmosphere is perfectly normal while my nose is telling me something is very wrong, indeed is an unsolved problem, and unsolved problems in confined spaces are how people die. I called it up to Marlon. He asked if I wanted to come out. I said no because I'm an idiot, and because I had another 60 meters to the junction chamber and then I could turn around. Then I heard the crowd. I did not have a better word, and I have tried a lot of them. It was the noise a crowd makes from a long way off. That low, layered, unresolved rumble you get standing outside a stadium, where you cannot pick out one voice, but you know for a certainty that what you are hearing is people. Hundreds of them. In a drain you hear the city, traffic, mostly, coming down through the gullies, and it is directional and it changes when a lorry goes over. This did not change. It sat at exactly the same level for as long as I listened to it, and it was coming from ahead of me, from the direction of the junction chamber, and above me at that point was a car park with about 9 cars in it at 8 in the morning. I stopped walking, and I did the thing you're supposed to do, which is nothing, for 60 seconds, and just listen and assess. And in the 60th second, the water started to move. There was maybe 2 inches of standing water in the invert, which is normal, and it started to run past my boots in the direction I had come from. Uphill. I put my light on it to be sure, and I watched the silt lift and travel, and I checked my own level on the wall marks, and there is no doubt about it, and there has never been any doubt about it. Something displaced enough water in that culvert, ahead of me, to push 2 inches of it 130 meters backwards up a slope. I went out. I did not run, because you do not run in a pipe. You will break your ankle, and then you will be a man with a broken ankle in a pipe. I walked fast, and I got to the shaft, and I got on the ladder, and that is where I was. 1 hand on the rung, 1 foot up. When I looked back down the pipe, there was nothing to see. The light does not reach. But the crowd noise had stopped, and it had stopped all at once, the way a room goes quiet when somebody walks in. I told Marlon we were done. We put the cover back, and I wrote the report that afternoon, and the report says, brick culvert, approx. 1870s, egg section, good condition, not shown on record plans. Survey, incomplete, atmospheric anomaly, operative withdrew. Which is a form of words that means nothing and covers everything, and I have used it twice in 19 years. The developer's engineer rang me about it, and I told him the truth. Or the useful part of it, which is that there is an unrecorded Victorian culvert under that site, and he needs a proper survey by somebody with a boat and a lot more patience than me. I did look into it after, not obsessively. An evening in the archive, the way you do. That culvert is a river, or it was. There was a stream there that got covered over in stages between about 1850 and 1905. The way most city rivers did, and it runs from the high ground down to the main watercourse, and it passes under a good deal of the old town on its way. And here is the only thing I will offer, and I offer it without any theory attached, because I do not have one. The stretch I was standing in runs directly under what was, until 1911, the parish burial ground, the one they moved when they widened the road. They moved some of it. The archive is quite specific about the number and quite vague about the total. I still do drains. It is what I do, and I am good at it. But I will not go into brick anymore, and my lads know it, and they think it is a joke about Victorian workmanship, and I let them think that. It is not about the brick. It is about the fact that concrete is 50 years old and brick is 150, and whatever is down there has had an extra century to get used to being left alone. Concrete has not been down there long enough for anything to have moved in yet. That is the whole of my reasoning. I am aware it is not much. But I have got a wife and a daughter and 30 years of work left in me, and I've decided I would rather be the bloke who is funny about brick than find out I was right.